Kia ora. This vid, I'm going to be going over how to grow papaya here in Aotearoa using indigenous strategies and wisdom. So whenever I start growing any plants, especially those which come from other cultures or lands, I always try to learn their whakapapa, their origins, their heritage. And so what I've learned about papaya is that they were first cultivated about 4,000 years ago by the Mayans and other Mesoamerican cultures. It was a very important plant for them, not only as a really productive fruit, but different parts of the plant also had some pretty amazing medicinal benefits. So it was highly valued for its purifying, cleansing and detoxifying qualities. So before being domesticated, wild papaya were mostly either male or female, and very rarely you'd get a plant with both male and female flowers. Males alone don't produce fruit, they just produce the pollen, and the female will only produce fruit if they're pollinated by a nearby male plant. The Mayans were able to figure out how to select and domesticate the rare bisexual plants, which had both the male and the female flowers. And over time, these hermaphrodite papaya became the dominant cultivar because they were self-fertile, a lot more productive, and they tended to produce larger, more elongated shaped fruit. And in the plant world, the majority of fruit trees will only set flowers seasonally, but papaya will continue to flower all year long, which means they have a continuous fruit set. And it's, I guess, because of these amazing traits as well as their medicinal qualities that papaya were regarded as a sacred plant, symbolizing fertility, abundance, and I guess the perfect balance between the male and the female elements. And they were traditionally cultivated in milpa, which were like mixed crop forest garden setups, and they became one of the most important staple crops, not only for the Mayans but a lot of Mesoamerican cultures as well. Papaya, a tropical fruit, tropical plant, and in those conditions they thrive, easy as to grow. You just chuck seeds in the ground and they'll grow real quick, and depending on the variety they'll start producing fruit from 8 to 10 months, and they usually just keep pumping out fruit all year long. Growing them outside the tropical or subtropical areas is a different story altogether. It's much more of a challenge because basically papaya stops growing as soon as the temperature gets below 15 degrees Celsius, and if the temperature hits freezing point they'll usually just die. They also need to be in really fast draining, rich organic soil or sandy loam because they are very susceptible to root rot. Where I am, both the soil and the climate is not the best. I just have clay soil. The winters are cold and wet. Summers are usually kind of mild and dry, usually averaging around 20 to 25 degrees Celsius. Although I don't get frost in winter, it rains a lot, which is not good because when you combine cold and wet, it's usually enough to kill them. To successfully grow them in these kind of conditions, you either got to have like a greenhouse or you just grow them in large pots. Most of the papaya that are grown in Aotearoa are in greenhouses, and the only reason I decided to grow them outside was just to see if I could apply some traditional Māori agricultural strategies which were used for growing kumara. So kumara and papaya, they're both tropical and they have very similar growing needs. Traditionally, kumara were often grown on north-facing slopes using stone terrace gardens to create microclimate and to trap heat in the rocks. Awakeri or drainage ditches were also used to, they were dug around the gardens to drain away excess water. They also grew them in raised mounds or beds, amended with stones, ash, shells, charcoal and pararau or leaf mulch. So yeah, I basically applied all of those ancestral strategies to grow these papaya here. The main thing is to make sure your papaya beds have like decent drainage and preferably don't get any moisture in winter when the plants kind of shut down, and you got to go hard with a real dense, almost waterproof layer of thick mulch, because in winter if you just want to keep their roots as dry as possible, and I guess that's the benefit of growing them in pots as well, because if you can just move them out of the way, out of the cold, out of the rain into a drier spot. It also helps to keep them growing too tall as well. When winter hits, your papaya are gonna feel like they're being tortured and look all sad looking, and if the leaves dry up and droop down, and that's a tohu that it's got root rot from sitting in too much water too long, and that usually means it's dead. Papaya are actually real easy to grow from seed. You can just scrape the seeds out, chuck them in a warm compost with a bit of ash, and they'll just start growing. While they're young though, they're quite sensitive to the cold, so you've got to baby them. They also don't like their roots being disturbed if you decide to transplant them. A lot of growers in Asia will also bend them at an angle, or they'll top them or they'll air layer them just to keep them lower, just for easier and earlier harvests, and I guess to focus the nutrients and energy into fruit production. It also helps to extend their lifespan apparently. You can harvest and eat them when they are green. They kind of taste a bit like carrot or cucumber, more of a vegetable or salad than a fruit. And you just need to, I guess, prepare them properly. But if you want to eat them as a sweet fruit, you just got to wait till they ripen up, and the best time to harvest them off the tree is when about 75% of the fruit is turned yellow or orange colour. If you wait for them to fully ripen on the tree, they might get munched on by birds and bugs. So yeah, once you harvest them at that stage, you just got to give them a few days to finish ripening inside. You know that they're fully ripe when they kind of turn a stronger or full yellow or orange, and by doing a bit of a touch test, unripe fruits are usually quite firm, but they become soft and more buttery when they're fully ripe. If your climate is a bit cold like here, it's better to probably grow dwarf varieties like the red lady, the kalina, or what's the other one, the red nemesis, and ones like that. There are also some even more cold hardy varieties out there, like the oak leaf papaya, the mountain papaya, the babako, the rainbow valley papaya. But the flavour of those ones is usually nothing like the tropical cultivars. They're not sweet at all, and yeah, those ones are probably better off cooked. So yeah, that's it. Let me know if you've got some other ancient strategies that work for you. Mauri ora.